All right, guys, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. And today I'm joined by Warren and Easton and two dogs
Four special guests
that are chewing on bones and balls and all kinds of
Gross,
stuff. So,
Dad. Gosh, Dan, you never think about what comes out.
Christo's
Whatever.
definitely not chewing on balls.
Dan
Danny,
is.
okay?
Dan's got a tennis ball.
Christo's chewing on a hedgehog.
Poor Christo.
So, but
No balls.
anyhow, before I introduce today's topic, I know we got to go, Easton's got a big shout out, kind of.
We're just going to do one at a time.
I got a couple.
Podcast.
Frankie Balla. Shot
Kala,
Kala.
20-inch blade. Yeah.
On the Impala. Jeez.
I have no idea what that was.
You
all
should.
about.
It's your generation.
Yeah, no kidding.
You act like you don't like Eminem, but you're watching 8 Mile and all that.
He loves Eminem.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's
Dad's the only reason
90s
Eminem's still
rappers.
relevant.
If it made it onto his iTunes, then it's there for life. He says, Raised Hunting Crew is awesome. Can't wait to try out the new lighted Knox. Appreciate you, Frankie Balla. And then YouTube folks, we owe you guys an apology because we have not had a chance to respond to any comments this week. So we promise that we will get back to you on those. So we'll shout you out though anyways. Jeremy Rupsick, he's always in there busting chops, and he's good with it too. Free Dodja, Raised Right, Bam Bam 2533, Matthew Holmesley 5230, Jake Dully, J.S. Gagno, what's up, my dude, and the Redneck Outdoor Channel. That's a new one. I like that. I like that
Redneck Outdoor
name.
Channel.
Shout out to the Redneck Outdoor Channel. I think Matthew Holmesley 5230 is too. Appreciate you guys, all y'all. So with that, let's get into
Without further ado, we shall release the scroll. So you guys did a really freaking good job. As I had said, these are all stories from you guys, sending them in. We got lots of stories here. So I've picked at random.
Do you want me to?
I was going to say, and with a little help of my girlfriend, surprisingly. Yep, that's a thing.
I'm not the girlfriend.
Yeah.
The boy has a girlfriend.
Surprisingly, he has a girlfriend.
Now, she did not tack all these on. I did. That's why they don't look as good. But she came up with this idea. So here's all you guys. Today we're going over this little gentleman right here. Goes by the name of David Harrison. And so you guys, for any of you that are just listening or tuning in, you could probably set it down now, I think, unless you want to keep it there.
I like looking at them.
Yeah, I'm saying you could look at them, but you're hidden.
Which, don't you guys get a big head? I'm not looking at most of you. I'm looking at your deer.
There's
There's some big bucks in here.
There is some big deer. So this was something that we've done. We had everybody that has listened to the podcast before or just listens in general send us some of their photos because we want to make a collage or a board of you guys. And you guys are the reasons we get to do this. So I also asked if they would send us stories. And these are the special ones. We'll keep adding. Warren has some ideas that he wants to keep adding as you guys send us pictures. But
These will get hung up.
Yep, I'm going to
here.
hang this one up. These are our OG guys.
Then are we just going to keep making another one and just adding a whole another one and keep going?
Either that way
Yep.
or we'll do it like where we can just keep adding on one section or something because I want to keep these guys on the where they're separated because they were the
OGs.
first ones. They're the ones that really stepped up. So, this is the story from David Harrison. He is the only one on there, I believe, that is not a deer, actually. Yeah, he is.
The bear.
So, hello, Raised family. My name is David Harrison. First, I want to say I love all the work you guys do from the podcast, YouTube, and TV show. I follow you guys the most out of every hunting influence. In this past season, I finally picked up a bow back up from 15 years of not shooting at all. You guys drove me to practice and get more into compound hunting, bow hunting for true archery. So I will give you a quick story on my hunt this past season that's extremely memorable. October 24th of 2023. I got home from work as a mechanic, and I was debating on going hunting behind my house on a piece of ground I got permission on back in April of 2023. My wife says to me to go get in the tree stand and relax and have a good hunt and enjoy yourself. You have a good wife, my friend. You have a very good wife. So, as any smart man does, I listened to my wife. I got up in my tree stand around 3:30 p.m. I was in the mindset of harvesting a doe and maybe a buck I had got on camera a few weeks prior to this. So while sitting there around 5 p.m., to my right, a doe works her way out of the bedding area, and I stand up to grab my bow and come to full draw. She's at 20 yards. I get settled and release my arrow. Well, I shot right under her. Needless to say, I was upset. And what made it worse was my Luminoc was just shining in my eye and just a reminder that I missed my target. Hopefully next year it'll be my raised knock was my reminder of my miss, or hopefully you don't miss. Anyways, very upsetting, but I stayed up in the tree and I was going to sit until dark. 1 hour goes by and I hear a noise behind me on the trail I walked in on, and all I see is black. The 200-pound black bear walked right up to my tree. He gets to the base. I grab my bow. He smells my hoist rope, then takes off to my right, headed towards the arrow I had shot earlier at the doe. He stops at 16 yards. I draw back and I let my arrow fly. He was quartering away, and I got a full pass through. The bear ran through the deer bedding area that the doe had come out of, and the tree and brush that we were just. I don't know exactly what this sentence was supposed to mean. He ran through the brush. Very exciting to say the least, so he ran a total of 50 yards and died. My first ever bow with a bear.
Bear with a bow.
Oh, yeah, he switched it. I switched it.
You
My first ever bow with a bear.
Bear-
Why did I do it again?
Bear with a bow.
My first ever bear with a bow.
That's cool.
That is really cool.
Welcome back, David. 15-year hiatus.
Yeah, so yeah, we approve. He is good to go. He is hooked on it again. So
Good for him. Good
we're
for
gonna
you.
open up each week with until we're done with them.
You know what this reminds me of?
What? Story time as a kid?
No. You remember those calendars that you used to get, Easton and I, with chocolates before Christmas?
Yes.
Chocolates before
Yeah, but we had to open each door up.
Yeah, you opened up a little door and there was a different chocolate or something each day.
Yeah. It was.
You don't remember that?
Yeah.
Mom, I know, was the one getting it, but I remember those chocolates were so good. I loved that calendar just for that.
That's why she did it that way.
And
Why
of
does
course,
it-
I was excited about
you
Jesus
learned
and all
something
that
about
stuff.
Jesus in each day.
I remember the chocolates part. Brothers.
That worked out well. Wow.
Oh, boy. All right. Are we ready then? We're going to get started with this.
Yep.
All right. So today we're going to challenge ourselves and challenge you guys. We're actually going to be talking about some of the, what do you call it?
Hot button
Hot button topics when it comes to turkeys.
Why hot button? Why not just hot topics?
Because you're pushing a button.
Pushing
Okay.
someone's button.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I would say that some of these that people get angry pushes my button. So, but I don't know what all the topics are. They told me I couldn't know all of them. They're going to bring them up as we went. So I know one, and I firmly disagree with anyone who disagrees with me. So how do you like that?
Well, we have 4 to start.
All right.
So, bow hunting turkeys, is it ethical overall? Using decoys, using blinds, and then reaping turkeys. And I think that all of these are a pretty good discussion. The decoys and blinds, honestly, I didn't really know were
Hot topic.
a hot topic until
I
we
didn't either.
did some posts and people are lit up about decoys.
Last year, I remember that they were freaking out about decoys, and I did not know it was a thing.
Yeah,
That's
they're
something
mad
to get
about
mad
it.
about.
A lot of people mad about using decoys. So I think the first one we should start with, though, is bow hunting turkeys ethical?
We've discussed this one, but it is
Yes.
Well, there's
an interesting topic.
okay. Yes, going off of what?
The answer is yes. Bow hunting turkeys is ethical if you kill them. I mean,
That's
if you,
any animal.
right. If you kill them in a
Shoot them on a dead sprint and you kill them.
Well, that's not
ethical. Why isn't it?
I guess
you killed 'em?
because you got lucky.
Okay, maybe you got lucky on the turkey.
Right.
You got to
that's-
dive into that sucker.
Okay, so my point is, I think if you do everything you can to take that animal as quickly and humanely as possible, and recover as many. When we're talking about turkeys, I believe we're talking more about recovery than we are killing them. I think there's a lot of turkeys that are dead that people shoot with a bow and arrow that they don't recover.
Which is probably even worse.
Maybe it's worse, but I think people not understanding what's going on or understanding how that's working.
What do you mean maybe? I think it's definitely worse.
So
It's different if you wound something and it lives. It's even worse when you hit something, you kill it, and you don't find it.
Well, that's the whole thing is you never know, though. That's the big problem is the question looms. Very rarely, I can only think of finding a handful of turkeys in my lifetime dead, not knowing whether they were killed by a hunter or by coyotes or what it was. It's not like where a whitetail deer, you shoot a deer and you lose him for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Someone finds him, you can see a picture that and go, hey, that's the deer I shot. You see what I'm getting at? Well, with the turkey, you can't do that. Typically, you just don't know whether you killed them or not.
What if you had to take a guess? Because unfortunately, I don't know that there's a real statistic on this. Well, with let's just say deer, archery deer, what do you think the recovery rate is overall, including does, bucks, everything?
With a bow, you're saying?
With
I
a
have
bow.
some
just with a
Iowa
bow.
statistics from last year that was actually surprisingly good.
Okay,
Like 60, 70% recovery rate.
ooh, that's lower than I was expecting.
What do you expect, a 90% recovery rate?
No, but I'd like to think like 75.
It was. I just
To
said
80.
70s.
You said 65 to 70.
60 to 70, somewhere in there. That's very
There's a big difference between 60 and 70.
I don't
You're
know.
talking thousands.
Not really. It's pretty small.
And the whole thing is I mean, how are they getting their statistics? Are they, are people being totally honest with?
That was from a buddy of ours.
I think it's less than that.
That he had people reporting.
I think
You think it's less?
I think it's less. Yeah, I do. The more I talk to people when they,
Okay, so now
I
let's break
thought
that
that
down a little
70.
more.
When he told me 60 or 70%, whatever it was, I could probably find it because he said that he had it out there. I thought that was high, like way high.
Oh, no.
Oh
I
yeah.
wouldn't think.
don't
Oh,
get me
yeah.
wrong.
You got to remember that you're
Going off
only
the-
hearing about the ones that need help. Like when you're talking about tracking and stuff,
Yeah,
you're
I
not
know.
hearing from the other tens of thousands of guys that had no issues.
Yeah, I know. Well, the tens of thousands of guys that did have issues and you didn't hear about either.
I don't think there is that many. I think most are getting dogs. I think I would be impressed if it's. I have a hard time believing it's less than 50%.
No, I'd be.
But are we
The
including
recovery-
misses and
I was
stuff?
gonna
I'm
say-
talking like an animal that has been hit. An animal that has been hit. Not, let's just say if you missed, you got really lucky and it's just a clean miss. We're not going to include that in our data because it didn't hit the animal. So of animals that were hit, the recovery rate of deer, if we just had to speculate.
I hate to even throw a number out there because I don't have enough.
I mean, there's not really a way.
I don't have a way to. It's just my opinion. It's just a
Okay.
thought
So let's just say, okay, then for argument's sake, let's just say it's 60%. Okay?
on deer. You're talking
On deer. The amount of deer that were hit with an arrow somewhere on their body, 60% of those deer were recovered. Okay?
about. Okay. So now, you're
Now-
going to compare that to a turkey.
What do you think that percentage is?
Half.
So 30%.
Whatever your number is on whitetail deer, I think that half of the turkeys are recovered.
Okay? So then if that number is true and that is accurate, I would 100% take the side that bow hunting turkeys is not ethical.
The only reation I would say
I
that,
can't
that I
speak for
wouldn't
everyone
agree
else.
with that because I don't think there's that many. Turkey hunting is pretty popular, but it ain't that popular with a bow. There's a good amount that does it, but not even anything in comparison to shotgun. And
Well, I mean, if
nowhere near.
you look at a statistic, it says there's a 70% chance that you're going to shoot a turkey and not find it. I opposed to using a shotgun, where it's probably like
He's laying right there.
90% recovery rate or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that could be definitely a strong argument for that. As much as we may like it, we may enjoy it, it may not be the most ethical thing.
I remember when I missed and
What?
hit it and did not recover it. Same hunt in Nebraska. I hit it he was quartering away and we didn't realize it. And I didn't realize it. And I shot him. He wasn't even quartering away that hard. He was just quartering away a little bit, strutting. And I shot right in the front of the shiny spot that we refer to. And knew right away. I was like, oh, frick. I didn't realize he was quartering. Well, then we watched him walk away and go strut and breed hens. And he was fine. Because I went through his breasts. But the reason I say that randomly
That was
is
really
'cause-
randomly that all of a sudden you just chimed in with this.
Well, Warren was asking how many that like each one of us have lost earlier, and I just realized that one that I was talking about, that was the last one I got.
I hate talking about this stuff because turkey season is coming, and I feel like you'll jinx yourself.
Well, you might as well.
I
just
can't
jinx
get
it now.
any more jinx than I already am.
Well,
But
I,
I'm
You're
more
not jinxed. You're just cursed.
I'm more so saying that if we look at this objectively, it would be kind of hard to argue and say that bow hunting turkeys should be okay.
Unless you're 98% successful.
That's my issue. That's because
If-
I
if-
agree
if-
with him.
If the person that is saying it is 98% successful, then they have a right to be able to say that you're not correct. I'm
Okay.
sorry that everyone else is losing their turkeys, or 70% of the people are.
Okay, but if we're more so catering to wildlife and we're stewards of wildlife, and the majority of people are losing and wounding more turkeys than they're recovering, don't you think that that would be a place where you'd have to consider the tactics involved?
For sure.
As a whole, yeah.
As
But I
a,
think what he's saying and what I'm saying as well is that it's not necessarily fair to say that it's unethical when it can be unethical, but depending on the person, you got to have some self-awareness.
Well,
Because you have three people sitting here that have three different outlooks on whether it's ethical or not.
no, I'm trying. I'm not. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm saying that because this is the whole reason that I started shooting them in the head, is because I personally have a very hard time shooting them in the body and making a good shot. Last year, the one I shot in the head went great for me. It was and I wouldn't choose to do that if I didn't have to, because it's so much work to have a setup that will shoot those stupid broadheads. But I needed to do that in order to be able to hit one where I'm supposed to. All I'm saying is that when people make this argument that turkeys shouldn't be hunted with a bow, if we are going to agree and say that 70% of the ones that are shot aren't getting recovered, that is a pretty difficult number to argue with if you look at that as a whole.
Oh yeah, if I just remove any kind of anything and you just think in the fact of something that changes for a group of people sucks, whether you like it or not, but it might be for the greater good, then I would be on the side of bow hunting is unethical for turkeys.
That's what I'm saying. You got to take our feelings out of it and just look at it.
I'm not putting feelings into it at all. I'm
I
just
know.
saying on the side of
Dad is, though.
I don't
Is
know
it-
if he necessarily is either, though. Because if I am putting statistics together, I'm going to sit there and say, yeah, it's not unethical for me to go do it. Sounds arrogant, sounds cocky, whatever. But statistically in my lineup, turkeys are my best animal out there. But if I look at everybody, and if even though I'm on the one end of the spectrum or on one end of the scale versus the other, I've got
Is
it.
that so funny?
I don't know.
Because every time I think of spectrum, I think of autistic. Because like the love of you see it, there's shows on autistic people now, and they're always titled The Spectrum.
I think
I
you're on
don't
the
know what you're
spectrum.
talking about.
As a whole, you have to kind of accept it.
Well, because here's the thing that's interesting about it. I think that your deer statistics, probably the majority of the reason that you could probably increase the recovery rate by 20% or more by cutting down distance and the shots that people take. Because they have a big buck at 25 yards, but he's already caught a little whiff of them and he's about to turn or whatever, and so they try to sneak an arrow through some stuff that they probably shouldn't, or they shoot him quarter to him, or they shoot him head on, or they take a shot that they probably shouldn't because they want that deer.
Right.
Or they shoot further because they are trying to kill that big buck. Where I think that, and so if you took that percentage out and then you cut it out and you took everybody that's shooting a deer at 20 yards or less, or 25 yards or less, broadside, quartered away, whatever, I'll bet you it's probably more like 85% recovery.
Well, I could tell you on the statistics I was referring to earlier, that is not correct.
Okay, well, let's just say it is.
Just because of the fact of how many more shots there are at 20 and 30.
I bet you, I would like to see numbers on it, but let's just say that it is correct, because here's the thing that I don't think that applies to turkeys.
Oh,
I don't think that a large part of the reason that people aren't recovering turkeys is because they're shooting them too far with a
No,
bow.
it's because it's a difficult shot, I think,
I don't think they understand
or where to aim.
where to aim, and there's so much on a turkey, especially a strutting turkey, that is not vital.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, they're just a very small target, and so they can hit that turkey and not touch anything. Shooting them through the breast, they live. I mean, it makes a thud. It goes through meat. It might hurt the turkey, I guess, in some respect. But even the ones that we've recovered from other people having shot them, doesn't appear like it hurt them very much at all. It's almost like going like a flesh wound, it goes through the breast and that's it. There's no blood hardly there or anything.
Right.
So anyhow, there's a bad side to all of it, to whitetail deer hunting, elk hunting, to antelope hunting, and if we were to say, well, we're going to stop it because some people can't make a shot or some people take the wrong shot, and I just feel like that we as a whole should just do a better job to hold ourselves accountable. I mean, make your shots closer, make your shots, and teaching people that. And nowadays, there's no reason that someone can't find. There's so much information out there that kind of talk, like we put out stuff about where to aim on turkeys, specifically where to aim on whitetail deer. I see other people doing it all the time. There's stuff all over the internet, whatever social media option you're after, there's information out there to teach you how to do it correctly.
You can't trust it though. Not even a little bit. Because if you look at simply one of those topics of where to shoot a turkey,
and you get 10 answers.
You're about the one video that's out there out of hundreds that are going to tell you a different spot to shoot them.
Oh, and we're the only ones that will tell you the shiny spot.
That's my point, is every video you're going to find is going to be about shooting them higher than where we typically do in the vitals. Well, I mean, it is the vitals, but shooting them in the vitals versus shooting them lower. You're the one and only. So unless they go find yours, the whole thing about where you're shooting a turkey, it's not wrong to shoot them in the vitals where all these guys are, where everybody says you should shoot your turkeys. It's not wrong except for the fact of the recovery rates on them, because they can get away. They're dead. That's the issue with it, is 9 times out of 10, if you hit them there, they're dead. 9 times out of 10, it's a difficult find unless you can somehow drop them right there.
Can be.
So
I don't know
you
if
can
it's
go
9
online,
out of 10,
you can
but
go online and look. That's the issue with it, is that, I don't know. I mean, you can find all kinds of misinformation.
Well, I mean, so I don't know the right way to handle it, whether because gun hunters wound animals. I mean, all hunters wound animals. I mean, we would be liars.
Do you really think you can wound a turkey with a shotgun?
Oh yeah, I've seen turkeys get rolled and get up and take off.
Yeah, but do you think that has long-term effects on them?
I don't know. I have no idea because I'm not that
It's
turkey.
just BBs.
Yeah, but it obviously didn't break their neck. I'm sure that they aren't liking the fact that they're carrying around lead.
I'm sure not, but I don't know that it would kill them.
I don't know. I'm not saying. Well, we don't know how many turkeys are actually dying from shots with a bow. What I'm saying is, you hit them though. You took feathers off. You don't know.
Right. Well, we know there's some though too that you zip through their body and they're dying, but you just don't know where.
Right. You can't find them.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to think of is, like, if let's say that you had motorcycles. Okay. You have motorcycles and trucks. People can go drive trucks, and 80% and only 20% get in a car crash. And then people go and drive motorcycles, 70% of them wreck. Would it be wise to outlaw motorcycles?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm seeing from looking at the numbers perspective.
But we don't.
We have no idea.
We don't
what the
outlaw
numbers are.
motorcycles. They're still
but
out there.
there's certain vehicles they don't allow because of certain things and stuff like that. I'm just making comparisons because I can see
it's very skeptical.
They're skeptical.
Oh, it's still
because
up to
there's
people.
We have no idea what it is.
But because there's motorcycle drivers out there that have never been in a wreck, and they drive correctly, they do things right, and things like that.
Right, they're part of the 30%.
Right.
But for society as a whole, that 70% is dangerous. Yes.
I'll go on record. I don't like motorcycles. I think they're dangerous, but I don't know.
Okay, well,
but I wouldn't.
It's really
but
not about motorcycles.
Right. It's not enough to outlaw them, though. I wouldn't agree with outlawing it either.
I think I know it wouldn't change a whole heck of a lot, but I wish that every state would implement it was an efficiency or
An efficiency test. It's that
I feel like it's not
proficiency test.
Proficiency, yeah, proficiency test
for archery. You mean, or for
every weapon?
That's what I'm. Oh, everything.
Any weapon allowed. You have to get every year. You have to be approved every year on certain distance and everything. I know it sounds outrageous, but there's so many guys that go pick up their bow once a year, and hope for the best. Same thing with a gun. They haven't even shot it at a target in the past 4 years. They're just hoping it's on.
The logistics of that, though, would be...
That's a lot, but
I did see,
do we care about logistics or do we care about doing the right thing?
It would be the right thing for the animals.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. It would be and it would be, honestly, it would do great things for hunting as far as now I would think that would correlate to your, whatever your loss recovery rate is on whitetail deer and on turkeys would go up considerably because the people that are doing it with more.
I'm trying to remember.
More on their plate. They're taking more initiative to be a part of it to make sure they pass that test.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember in Hunter Ed, did it teach us anything about where to shoot turkeys with a bow? I don't feel like it did.
I don't know if
I don't know. That was a long time ago. I don't remember.
Well, we don't teach anything in camp on it, I don't think. That's all out of the
bow hunter book. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, so that's one to think on. But I think it still comes back to the individual. We didn't even answer even a little at the end of the day. Oh, I think we did. I think that individually, if you're somebody like me, you probably need to be looking at other methods. Meaning that maybe, I'm not saying you have to give up shooting them with your bow, but because go give me any proficiency test, I'm going to pass it.
You'd be fine, yeah.
Yep. But then I shoot one and it doesn't go well. So
self-awareness.
Yeah, trying to shoot them
Hold
in the head.
Hold yourself accountable.
Doing something different so that if you have a bad track record, just say, you know what, maybe I suck at shooting turkeys and I need to do something different. And if that's using a shotgun, that's fine. That's, to me, I think I have more respect for you for doing that than just keep shooting them. Or if it's shooting them in the head or something like what I've transitioned to.
100% have more respect for somebody who's going to do that. Not even a question.
Agreed.
Okay.
We all agree on that one.
All right, well, let's go to one that's a little, because I think the end one is going to be a hot one too. So let's go to the next one on decoys. This one I really don't even know why it's
I don't know how to argue this either.
Such a angry
it is
topic, but people are mad about it. So that
just using
a decoy is cheating. It's unfair. It's unethical. You're a piece of crap hunter. You have no idea what you're doing if you have to use a decoy to kill a turkey. Turkeys are stupid. You don't need a decoy. There's all kinds of crap that people will say.
Yeah, they have been very, very angry over using decoys. Which, that's what East and I were talking about, is I don't even hardly know anybody that
I've never met somebody that tells me that they don't use decoys.
Oh, I've met guys that don't use decoys.
You're also 50 years old and have hunted a lot more places.
Right.
I'm going off of, the majority of people I talk to in Iowa, even in Alabama, they want to use decoys. They just can't use some of them legally. So those guys are like, yeah, I wish we could, but.
What's the law?
I'd have to look at it again. Do you remember, Nick? Like, they couldn't use a hen decoy, or they couldn't use a. Yeah, there's like a certain time period or something that you can't use decoys or something.
Interesting. I wonder what that legislation is.
I don't know. That legislation makes zero sense because their turkey population is screwed, and they can still kill like 4 freaking birds per person. Whoever is running the conservation down there for turkeys has a lot of screws loose. And I'm sorry if you listen to our podcast, but like you compare it to some of these Midwestern states and how they run their tag systems and who can hunt and everything, it is like a crapshoot down there. Just go hunt. Everybody freaking turkey hunts. You can get 4 tags. Most of the time, there's maybe a couple toms on a piece of land, if that. Everybody knows them like they're deer because there's like, oh, we got 3 birds over here on this farm, and these are the only 3. And they'll go kill all 3 of them that year, and then they'll be confused why there isn't any next year. That's how they operate.
Okay, let's get back to what we're talking about. Turkey decoys. So I guess I totally don't. I've done it both. I've done it every way. I've done it.
They get 4 tags.
I think they may have changed it in the past year or two, where it's like 3 now. But yeah,
I think Nebraska is the most populated turkey place I've ever seen, and that was 3.
Yeah, and now they knocked it down.
But Missouri
to 2.
used to offer more than that. I mean, they could kill 2 or 3 in the fall and in the spring.
Each.
So they had like 5 or 6. Now they've cut that back. I don't know what it is now. It's not that high, but it used to be that high.
Huh.
There was a lot of turkeys there as well.
Yeah, so they didn't provide any reasoning on why the decoys were illegal?
There, you can read on the law. I just don't remember.
Interesting. Maybe it's an East Coast, South thing that they don't like the decoys. Too bad we don't have somebody
Well, that's
to
my
tell
point.
us what.
With the South, I talked to a lot of guys. We were at a turkey competition, so I talked to a lot of dudes, and a lot of them will tell you that they would like to use decoys. And they are just not allowed to use decoys. So that's a place where decoys are non-existent, and they have no issue with them. You would think that those would be the ones that would be like, oh, you guys use decoys, you're just cheaters. You don't know what you're doing. They don't care.
Well, part of the reason I feel like it might be them is because somebody put through that legislation to not have decoys.
That's why I would think they would say that, and they don't.
Well, maybe just the group you were talking to.
That was a lot of random people.
So what? I don't really. I guess the argument is that they increase your chances of killing a turkey. I haven't read that many of the comments. I mean, I just saw.
Well, I've never
people
seen
are all like angry about him, but
I've never read a logical reasoning besides you're just a shitty hunter. That's about the best reasoning I've read as to why.
yeah, I feel like that's
They're
pretty
unethical.
much what I've seen.
See, I think it's the same person that is saying that's making the statement that you suck as a hunter is why you're using a decoy, is the same person that's going, oh, well, you get to hunt your own property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I get to
The
hunt my own
excuse is
property
hunting.
because I worked my ass off to have that piece of property because I've hunted public land before and I know what I was dealing with there. And so now I have my own piece of property where the turkeys are there and I can burn my ground and take care of it and hopefully make turkeys flourish not only for my place, but for all the places next to it. And you can just be pissed at me because I finally went out and worked my ass off to get what I got.
On one.
Come
So-
talk to David, baby.
Yeah.
We suck as hunters. Maybe you should just stop making excuses and figure it out. How about that?
Well,
That's what David has to say.
I've killed turkeys. I've killed
Did you
turkeys
put
without
an
a
extra
decoy.
scoop in your mud this morning? Or
No, I've killed turkeys without decoys, and I choose to hunt turkeys now with decoys because I am bow hunting them. If I wasn't bow hunting for turkeys, I've still done it. I've gone out and just sat against a tree just like everyone else and just call. But you're going to run into the guy that says, well, you call way too much. Someone else will say you don't call enough. You know, you're using the wrong camo. You can't sit like this or sit like that. You're hunting in the afternoon. That's cheating. You're next to their roost area. You know, I mean, all these different things. I'm hunting them the way that the laws say that I have to hunt them and doing it legally and ethically. And using a decoy is not unethical in my opinion at all. Matter of fact, when we go back to, it kind of mixes with the topic we were just on, and that is making a good shot with a bow. It's almost
more ethical.
It's almost a necessity because you can put that bird exactly where you want them for a length of time where you can make you don't really have an excuse then for not making a good shot, meaning putting the arrow where you want.
I'd be curious to know if any of these guys that are saying that about decoys are also the same guys saying that you shouldn't be able to bow hunt them. Because I would say if you weren't allowed to bow hunt turkeys and I wasn't using decoys, then I feel as though my success rate would be almost the same. Because it seems as though almost any birds that we can call into a place where they would see a decoy to come in, that I could get them within 40 yards to shoot them with a shotgun.
I would. I mean, it just changes. Like now we do I personally have changed my tactic where I do a lot of hunting in open areas because I want them to see the decoy. So I sit on the edge of a field or out in a field where back when I did not hunt with decoys, you sit in the timber or you sit on the edge of the timber. And because otherwise, if he comes out in the field and he can't see anyone, you all you can do at that point is shut up and hope that you convince him that you've left, or that you are leaving. But at the same time, there's a way to work around that. You hunt with another person, you have that person back away and keep calling, and that bird comes right by you. Well, that's unethical. Now you're teaming up on them. You got two human brains working against that turkey. That is wrong. Kiss my turkey butt.
I love when Dad gets ferocious. It's hilarious.
I really don't have much to say on that one because I don't
just
really.
doesn't make
I have a
sense.
hard time seeing where that's such a huge.
Well, the
deal.
next one goes with it.
Yeah,
Doesn't make
blinds.
any sense.
Which
To be honest, you're having to work harder. If you're carrying a blind and a decoys, you have a lot more on your shoulders than literally and figuratively to try to run all that crap than just walking out with a shotgun and maybe a seat if you want it.
Well,
But,
in
my
some
goodness,
respects, you could say you got to be a better hunter with a blind because you've limited yourself, especially when you
got to bring them in one spot.
You got it. When we set up with a camera and another person in the blind, we cannot shoot 365 degrees out of whether the blind is the best blind in the world that opens all the way, and the double bulls that we use and the one that we just came out with, you can do that, but we can't. We are focused in this particular spot, so therefore we have to put them in a 80 or 90 degree window as opposed to 360 degree window. And so my point would be is that you could argue the fact that using a blind is harder. And I mean, you brought up the fact that packing a blind, if you're going to carry one around, I've hunted Montana packing a double bull blind on my back.
If you're hunting alone,
oh, it's a chore.
It is. I don't care if you actually kill something or you're worth a crap for turkey hunting or not. If you're willing to put that much on your back and carry 2-3 decoys, your bow, gun, whatever you're using, and then whatever else you need for calls and everything, if you're willing to do that, I've got some respect for you right there, because not taking anything away from the other guys, because there's a lot of respect there too, but the fact that you're willing to just pack the crap in, I hate it. There's a reason that I use the Primo's freaking the 2-wall pop-up thing every once in a while when I've got like new hunters with me. Screw carrying the blinds around and everything. I'll put the 2 little panels there that flip over my shoulder and I'm done, because I'm lazy and I'm not going to use a big blind if I don't have to. But then I'll turn around, like when we're using our bows, I use them. But that's a lot. It's a lot to carry, and they're heavy.
Well, the other thing is,
why are you doing that with new hunters?
Because normally I'm just using a shotgun, so
okay.
I just carry the
Just
when they have their shotgun, they only need to see a couple areas or we need to move. Then I just pop that up. Right. Mainly, I would normally, if it was like me and you or me and Dad or something, and we're using a shotgun, I'd just sit against a tree or not use a blind.
Yeah.
But with them, I want them to have some ability to move
cover
if they need.
Yep.
And that's super easy for me to pack in. I could still see through it.
Yep.
But and the
Stakeout.
the other
Sorry,
part
that's
that
what it
we
is.
need to talk about though there is what you just mentioned is if you were to tell people I wonder if the same person that gets upset that guys are using blinds to turkey hunt or gals are using blind, would they be upset at a kid that you stick them in a blind where they can move around a little bit and stuff like that and get them used to it, or a new hunter that you're introducing to it and you want to, the temperatures are cold, you pop up a blind so that they can stay a little warmer. Doesn't have to just be cold. It could be all kinds of weather, and allows you to be out there. Is that person going to say, well, in that case, it would be okay? It's kind of like the argument about crossbows. I'm firmly against them in an archery season. But if you have someone who's handicapped and can no longer be a part of that archery season without being able to use a crossbow, I'm all for them. They should be in the wood. They should still be able to go into the woods with a crossbow in their hand. But so would the same people that get upset about decoys and blinds be upset with the fact that someone that's using them for the kids, for the other, to eliminate some of the reasons that they couldn't go? I hope not.
I will be completely honest. Out of the bow hunting turkeys is the biggest one that could be up for discussion because of everything we talked about. But as far as decoys and blinds, and this is not coming from the side of because we use them. This is, if we go off of last year, I used a blind for the first week of the season to kill 2 or 3 birds, and then the rest of the season, me and you were running and gunning. Like, we were not using anything, really. My opinion is if you want to use a blind, you want to use decoys, you want to use calls, you don't agree with calls, you don't agree with decoys, I don't really see an issue with any of them. I seriously think that turkeys are interesting enough that if you're calling birds in, you're consistent with it, you're getting close to birds, you're probably doing something right. I don't really care how you're doing it. Because in my opinion, they're either really easy and they come in just right, or they are absolute pain in the butt. So if you can get through the moment, what is your problem? Oh my goodness. If you can get through the times where it is difficult, who cares if you use a blind or you use a decoy? I really don't understand either of the arguments. And I would also be curious, I would not mind challenging any of them. You don't use decoys and you don't use blinds, okay? I don't really care. But how successful are you really at turkey hunting? Do you really know that much, or do you just go out every once in a while and you kill a bird here and there kind of thing? Like, Where do you?
There's
Where
a lot of guys killing without decoys. And
I know
blinds.
that I've killed them without blinds and decoys too. That's not my point. My point is the guys that are saying that you can't use them. That's totally unethical. Like, how are you really that great of a hunter that you're saying, or why are you so angry about somebody else coming up with a different way to hunt? Why is that an issue? What insecurity do you have that you're not good at to be able to go chastise everybody else for doing something?
I don't know.
I think you'd be real careful on how you say that one.
Why?
Because we have certain beliefs on other ways of hunting different animals that we would say that they're probably not ethical.
Come up with the ethical argument with that, though.
Well, I'm saying that from exactly what you just said, people probably are aware we're not huge fans of pushing deer.
Yeah.
And what you just said would fit that perfectly.
No, because what is the unethical part of that?
Shooting at deer running.
The increased probability of a wounded animal, right?
Right.
Okay, so what's the increased probability of something that is unethical about a blind or a decoy?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask somebody because maybe there's something that I'm not seeing,
That's my point.
or something that some other reasoning. I haven't been able to see, and I try to see a perspective of where it gives you a huge advantage. Do I think that
It's definitely
with
an
decoys
advantage.
you're probably going to have a little bit more lethality for sure. I don't know that it's a absolutely huge jump.
I'm just saying that
Now I would
that
agree.
is not
Decoys
relative
with a
at all.
bow. If you took out decoys altogether with a bow, I think that
Oh, the kill
it would
ratio.
almost be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You guys would be launching arrows at 50 yards.
Yeah,
Without decoys or without
without decoys.
without
if you were trying
a
to
decoy,
bow hunt
bow
turkeys
hunt-
without
bow hunting
decoys, it would
turkeys
be
without a
very,
decoy.
very, very difficult.
Yeah.
See, I might
So-
even be on the. I wouldn't possibly even be on the. I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little longer, but I might be on the side of. At that point, it would be make it illegal because it would be so bad that people were. The recovery rate would be so minuscule.
It'd be so hard to get them close, and then when
Keep
you
them
did,
there.
getting to full draw and stuff without, especially if you weren't allowed to use a blind either. I mean, it'd be very, very, very difficult to kill a turkey.
Although I did it last year,
With the decoy.
no blind though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you took the decoys too, then it'd be
I say you can
Super
throw
hard.
your counter there out. That doesn't relate.
okay. All right, do we want to go to the next one?
Sure,
Yeah.
this is fun.
This is my favorite one, but I don't know why it's an issue.
Reaping turkeys.
And I think these guys, the ones that don't like it, do have more. You'll know, I think. They do have some actual theories on why this is unethical, correct?
I can be that
Because
guy.
I have not,
Well, hold on.
I have not seen this
I
very
can see
much.
where this one fits the category of not necessarily unethical, but it's dangerous.
It's also, I think it's dangerous for the population. I would, if they decided tomorrow that they were going to outlaw reaping turkeys in Iowa, I would not be upset about it. And I have reaped a lot of turkeys
With a shotgun.
with a bow, too.
What have you haven't reaped one with a bow?
Yeah, the
Wow.
80.
And the Three Kings,
Oh yeah.
the one where I have my 40-yard dash.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
you have. We've
yeah,
used
right
it
by
a
the house.
I've
dozen
seen you
times.
running.
Yeah, it's just
That's the only
same
part I've
turkey.
seen. I've never seen
But
the
he
shot
crawled
of
out
that.
there in between all of the decoys, and that's what brought him in.
Nice.
So obviously I don't really have an issue with people doing it. The only reason that I would be willing to say that is I don't believe that I have ever seen a singular hunting method for any animal that is so effective as reaping turkeys.
Depends on the time of year. And it also depends on where you're at. Because I would 100% disagree with you going on last year. It used to be. When
Yeah,
it was
and that-
new.
I would like to see like our amount of attempts where we didn't screw something up versus success rate has got to be like 95%.
No.
Again, you could go off of last year and it would be 0%.
Win.
Actually, there was one opportunity for a shot. My whole season last year with me and Dad, we were trying to reap or sit on them and wait and then move the decoys at them, and there was nothing we could do to get them to work.
We couldn't get the right, but in our defense, I mean, we couldn't get the right situation.
The other situations, though, that we had when I was taking Joey and stuff, we tried crawling. In the moment we even started crawling, they're gone.
Right.
When typically they would be like, the moment we show up in the field, they're running right at you and they're ready to roll.
Yeah, I'm thinking that they're starting to get a little weary. They've seen it enough times now. You haven't reaped in what, 3-4 years?
The one I shot the 80 was probably only 2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago.
It's been a drastic change in my opinion from when we first started doing any of them. Well, if you look in 2012 or 13 when I had the first one I ever did.
Right.
Yeah, that was 2012, I think. Though from there to like the past few years, that's how it is. Like they're running in and they're going to beat the crap out of you, and they ain't stopping until you put something in them. And now, it's like a toss-up on whether or not they're going to react. They're in my opinion, of everything we've seen, they react right away. It's just going to be good or bad. They're either going to come in right away or they're gone. We chased birds all around, a whole group of them. Remember? That wanted no part of us. We popped a decoy up anywhere, and they were gone.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
that's interesting so let's just take out last year.
Then I'd say that it's freaking lethal.
That's my whole thing. Is like it's just you look at that data. There is nothing else that you can't go. There's not a certain call that you can go throw at an elk, and all of a sudden, you got a 90% chance that he's coming. There's no other technique that you can do with any other kind of animal, at least that I've discovered, that works or did work.
You just named another
as
one.
Effectively as reaping a turkey. What?
Pushing whitetails, whether you like it or not, they have one of the highest amounts of population that they get rid of every year during a shotgun season, and that's 2 weeks.
Yeah, that could possibly be. Yeah, you could be similar as far as effectiveness.
Yeah. So I could.
And both of them have a degree of danger, and that's like when it comes to pushing. That's every year. I think this year might have been the first year in several years that there wasn't an Iowa hunter killed. I think there were some still wounded, but I don't think that we lost anyone. And we actually lost a friend 2 years ago. And so my point is that there is a degree of it's just dangerous, period. And so reaping is a dangerous, you are a freaking Tom crawling through a field. And if you build one like the one I have, you're a real Tom. Well, if someone didn't know that it was fake, you would have a hard time recognizing that it was fake, even from 20 or 30 yards away.
Which that is also why it's very imperative to do it on controlled land. Like I've never touched
private
public.
ground. Yeah,
I've never touched
private
public
ground.
I've hunted public for turkeys, but I've never reaped on
Yeah.
public land. Even on private, you better know if there's other turkey hunters that can hunt it, or if you're the only one with permission, or if you own it that nobody else is there or something.
Right.
Because even if you know that there's not very many other people hunting it or at all, it could still be dangerous in the fact that maybe somebody is there that isn't supposed to be there.
Yeah, if you have a questionable neighbor, I probably wouldn't be doing it there either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's my biggest ethical issue with it is the danger part, and I don't think that's necessarily ethical. That's more so putting yourself in danger.
Yeah.
yeah, you want
But
to
that's also why they make the orange things for them.
on the back of them.
They do some on the front,
Yeah, that you can pull
like
over
on the
'em.
wings and stuff. Like you can
Yep.
put little orange strips on the front so that people know.
When did reaping turkeys get big?
2012 is when it was blowing up, but people have been doing it for a long time.
I was going to say it's been around a lot longer than that. Different places were doing it from what I understand. I don't know if I'm allowed to say Indian anymore, but you can say Native American, I guess. But
You just said both, so.
well, that's where I first heard about people doing it was some of the tribes where people could come and hunt there, that they were showing guys, yeah, this is what we do. We put a tail on here and we crawl right at them. One of the first places that I remember seeing it, and that would have probably been back in the 80s, maybe 90s, was Florida. They were just using a tail. They called it fanning then. They were fanning at these turkeys, and they would walk in, moving the fan, and then the bird would come in. And then, as it graduated, with anything hunting-wise, we're always looking to make things, if something's good, can we make it better? We started with box calls and slate calls. Well, let's make something we put in our mouth that's hands-free. So my point is that
When did it explode, though?
Turkey reapers. That's the reason the name of it is reaping, is
Yeah.
because of the turkey reapers.
Right.
And they were starting like 2010 and 12 in there. That's
Yeah,
when
I would
they
say
were
that-
blowing up, and everybody was like, "Holy crap!" And then everybody started doing it.
That's
it was
when
like
you
a fad.
that's when you saw decoys come out that were designed for
When
it.
Mojo came out with theirs or whatever,
Yeah.
their scoot and shoot or whatever. It
If
was like the
we,
first one designed for it.
If we go back to our turkey population podcast,
This is interesting.
and we start thinking about when it started to take a dip,
Did turkey reaping have an effect on that?
it was like 2010.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could be. I would say your first years where everybody was learning about it or hearing about it would be your biggest detriment. I think.
The
because-
harvest numbers, I would think, had to have nearly doubled.
Well, I can tell you, you
I don't
can't
think
do
so.
what you.
Because I don't think as many people were doing it as what you think. The ones that were doing it were effective.
I'm going to see if I can find some data on.
Yeah, because your states would be able to say, to me, that's an easy one. If you had, let's just use the number 100,000 birds, and it dropped to 50,000 birds, but your mortality rate by hunters had been 25,000 in years past, and now all of a sudden it's 50,000. Well, then that correlates exactly. You doubled the amount of birds you're killing. You took out half of the population. I don't think it's nearly that simple. And I think all states have some sort of reporting way, that you report your turkeys or deer or whatever that you've killed.
It fluctuates a lot too.
Yeah.
But turkey reaping is not easy as far as physicality of it. So a lot of people aren't doing it.
I think it's easier with a gun. I mean, it's pretty easy to crawl with a gun, as long as you're willing to crawl. It
It's
ain't
still
that difficult.
crawling, and there's still some guys. I know several guys that don't fit behind a turkey decoy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a different story. That's what I mean.
And I mean, bad knees, bad elbows, bad shoulders, and things like that make it very difficult to get around to do it. Because I've seen you crawling stuff that I don't think I could do now.
I've done some
Cross the
awful
bean field,
ones.
the muddy bean field that you went that day. I'm not happening. I ain't making it.
That one, there's a trail for like 200 or 300
Yeah.
yards.
It's way harder with the bow just because
Oh,
I got
that's
to
the-
hold it.
Right.
That's why I had made such a big trail on that one, because it was muddy and I had to drag my feet so I could hold my bow up and push. You're doing it no-handed.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
I don't.
difficult.
So anyhow, I think that. So did we answer the should it be allowed or should it not? And I still say that it should be. It's a legal, ethical, done correctly, and done. That it's allowed where you're at and done in a way that it's safe. You're okay.
I don't think it's. I feel like it got popular enough now that they've kind of gotten a little more intelligent to it. We can't drive around and see birds out in a field nearly as often as like when we first started doing that. You remember we just literally just hop in the truck and you had permission. It was like coyote hunting. You went and got as much permission as you could. So then you just drive around and find one out in a field. He's in a good spot. You pretty much just said that there's your shot.
Right.
Now it's like finding them in the first place is difficult enough. They're there still, but they aren't hanging out nearly as much out in.
I don't
wide
know
open
if they're
fields
there.
as
That I was telling Warren this morning that I'm starting to get worried that this season might be the season we see the Midwest decline in turkeys actually affecting our numbers around where we hunt, because I'm not seeing the same numbers of turkeys that I saw in the past.
I'm golden. I just found a flock 30 yesterday, so we're gonna be just fine.
Well, that's good.
Kill 2 or 3 out of that one and then be done with it.
That's really good, because I am not seeing those big flocks.
That was one of the bigger ones I've seen yet.
Yeah, that is. What other ones, Warren? Was that it?
That was all we had wrote down.
All right. Well, someone will have to chime in with their thought, but I don't see how turkey hunting is a bad deal. It's good. It's really good.
Oh,
Are we coming up with a
I think Warren's
wacky
coming up
fact?
with a wacky fact. I do. While Warren is doing that, though,
Iceland has an incest app that stops you
Okay.
from hooking
What?
up
No,
with your
what?
cousin.
You can't.
that's screwed up.
That's unethical. That should be illegal.
Which part? Preventing them or?
Hey,
No,
you know what?
It
you
should
know what?
be illegal.
At least they are taking precautions.
The population of Iceland must not be very large.
It's concerning that they had to imply
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, I do have a fun fact for everybody. I'm kind of cooler than all of you guys. He's going to appreciate me for this. I have an official numbers guy. It does all my numbers for me, like statistics and things, and goes and calculates stuff for me.
Jeff Gagnow.
No, it's better than Jeff. Sorry, Jeff. It's Joseph.
Oh, yeah.
Joey. He went and did, since the buttons of Raised Hunting Podcast, the green and the red, have been introduced to the podcast, Warren has gotten the green button only 38% of the time. On the flip side, David, every fun fact David has come up with or wacky fact has been 100% on the green side.
It's easy when you only have two.
It doesn't matter. He's 100%. Warren is struggling.
Okay, so
Granted,
what's your wacky fact for the day?
Hey,
I didn't know I was going to have one today. I don't have one.
You did just
we gotta
get one.
screw up those stats.
We're not screwing them up.
Yeah. Hey,
wind.
maybe you guys should message in if these two we could start at a blank slate, and I will be completely unbiased, but I am the judge, and I get a pick on their wacky facts for the day.
This is a couple good ones. This one is a perfect fit for today. Allodaxophobia is the fear of opinions. There's a lot of people that have allodaxophobia.
Allodaxophobia.
Yes. And
then
then
you just evened yourself out.
Here's 81. The U.S. government gave Indiana University $1 million to study memes.
You're kidding me.
And they wonder why people get so angry about paying taxes.
That was government
right
money?
there. The U.S. government gave Indiana University $1 million to study memes.
I think that's.
Are you kidding me?
No, you agree with it. I think.
I do. It pisses me off. I was going to clarify.
We're gonna freaking even out these numbers.
You freaking lint
cheater.
liquor. I was going to clarify because it's a bunch of BS.
That's for the government.
And this, because it was kind of a wacky fact. I can't believe they would have done that. I can't believe it. They're that dumb. Biden, I hope you heard that.
$1 million.
Listen to my
study
phone,
memes.
please. We hate you. I hate you. There we go.
The fact that you need $1 million to study meme is a meme
Who
itself.
who cares that much about memes? Okay. Any more?
I think
No.
that's it.
Oh, porcupines float in the water.
Now that's a
That
good
was
one.
good. That was freaking good.
And mice can swim.
You know.
Yeah.
Yep. David just got another green.
Because the other day, Christo was chasing a mouse at the 80, and it went underneath the dock, and he was over there, and all of a sudden, bloop, it comes out and swims across the water.
And then when I threw
Well, that would
something
make
at
sense
it,
because we throw lures of mice.
Yeah, but
I threw something at it, and it went boom. It went down underwater. Like
Really?
it purposely, intentionally went underwater
Dove.
to avoid.
scuba mouse.
Hey, are we sure it was a mouse? That was a huge mouse.
It was a big mouse.
It was either a mouse or a vole.
Yeah.
Those little things.
I would think that a
I
mouse
think it was
would
a
have
mouse.
a better chance of swimming than a vole or a mole, either one.
I don't know. Christo, I thought that he was going to push it out to drown, but that thing was ready to roll. It was a good theory,
All right.
Christo. I would have done the same thing.
Are we
if I had
good?
to. Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today. I hope that we did not burst your bubble on any of the turkey tactics or the turkey, I don't know what you call those, the turkey
Hot topics.
hot topics that we
Hot
brought.
takes.
Yeah, if you have some legitimate reasoning other than just that
Just don't like it.
you're a loser if you use a decoy or blind, I would be genuinely curious to hear it.
Yeah, I would like to know
So
why.
send it to us.
I don't understand why some of it is the way some of it is, but it is what it is. So, and again, the only thing that hopefully everyone hears that when we're just giving you our opinion, you can disagree and differentiate between the three of us and whatever, and that's okay. Doesn't mean we're going to answer everything that we see that comes in that says, hey, I don't agree with you guys, or I do agree with you guys. We appreciate when you do. We appreciate when you don't. So it's no big deal. But anyhow, these topics today were kind of interesting to tackle, though. But the porcupine floating around is kind of a special one.
That was good, man.
Yeah, that was.
I'm proud of you for that one.
He came up with
So
a good
weird
one.
they
You almost
climb
kind of
trees,
just
too.
threw that one out there like it was like, oh, that was an interesting one. Like you didn't think it was that
Thanks for
good.
tuning in. This is
caught
the
it. I was
Raised
like, man,
Hunting
that's wacky.
Podcast signing off. We're out of here.